Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Wayfarers of the South Tigris. This is a game published by Renegade Games. It plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. In this game, you're going to be explorers and cartographers, and you're going to be trying to map all the unknown lands. You're going to be trying to map the land, the ocean, and the heavens above. The person who does the best will win. Now let's go down to the table here. I'm going to give you a general overview of how the game plays, so you just have a general idea how the game flows and what you can do on your turn. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is Wayfarers of the South Tigris. In this game, you're going to be brave explorers, cartographers, and astronomers. Players set off from Baghdad to map the surrounding land, waterways, and heavens above. Players must carefully manage their caravan of workers and equipment while reporting back regularly to journal their findings at the House of Wisdom. Will you succeed in impressing the Caliph, or lose your way and succumb to the wilderness? In this game, you are trying to map out on this board here and gain the most victory points before the end of the game. Now, just a really important note for this game is if this game here is going to be a game that you're going to play once, and that's going to be the play we're going to learn how to really navigate this map, which is very, very important. So this game here is going to take multiple plays to be able to master. And understanding of this map is very important. In fact, when you first play this game, and anybody that is their first time, you should suggest that they focus on just moving their marker all the way to the end of this map. And we'll go over what all that means in a minute. But like I was saying, I set up this game for a 4-player game. Now, I only set out 1-player board and the player's pieces here. Now, the resources that this player has gained is for the first player. You'll want to refer to the rulebook here to see which each of the other players would gain. So where I got 2 provisions, 3 coins, and 1 influence on the blue temple here, other people would get 2 provisions, 3, and then be on 2 different temples, the blue and the yellow, and then it just goes on up as the player count increases. You're also going to get 3 of your 5 dice. 2 of them are going to be up on the board. You're going to get all your influence tokens minus the ones that got put in the different temple spots, and you're ready to start the game. So in this game, you are going to be doing one of 3 different actions. You're either going to be placing a die, placing a worker, or resting. You get this really cool starting board here with the game, and these are all considered cards, even though they're pre-printed on here. So for game purposes, remember, these are considered printed cards, and these are all locations, like these ones here, are all locations that you can place your die. Now, if you're doing the die placement action, this is only going to be on your board, and you have 3 of these. The workers here, you actually don't own them. Once they go away onto the board, you don't guarantee to get them back on the rest action at all. You will just get your dice back. These workers are put into the common pool once they're used, and we'll show you that in a second. But we're going to go to dice placement first. So for dice placement in this game, you're going to select one of these locations here that is available on your grid. Some of these are going to have symbols on them, and these are going to be the prerequisites that you need to be able to go to that location with your die. Now, at the start of the game, you have only 2 dice that have already have symbols with them. So if you roll a 1, you can use a 1 for any place that requires a camel, which is here. If you have a 6, you can use that for any place that requires the astronomer action on there. These ones don't require anything, and you can use them. Iconography in this game, there's a lot of it, but in the back of the book, it shows all of it. And once you play through the first game, these become pretty second nature. So if I wanted to place a die, I would take one of my dice and I would put it in a legal location, and then I would perform that action. So for here, I gain 1 green card, which is going to be these crew or people up on here. I either gain a green card or I can get 2 provisions. Here I can get a green tile, which help add some of these symbols that I need to activate some of the dice onto the board here, or to money. If I have the astronomer symbol, so I have a 6 in this case, I can get one of the black cards, which is going to be the space cards, or I can get one of the black tiles, which again would go up here. Other locations here, if I have a ship, which I'm going to show you in a second, a different way of getting a ship, I can place a die here. So either a ship on here, or I can place a die here, and I can get 2 provision. I spend 2 provisions to get a blue card. Now for the ship, it's very important to show you what you can get with these different temple locations, and each of them do different things. This blue one here is going to, I can lose 1 influence here once per turn to gain a single ship. If one of these requires 2 ships, I can only use 1 ship from that action. I can lose an influence here to move a die up or down twice. I can spend an influence here to move up additionally on the track when I move up on the track, which I'll show you that in a second. Most of the time when you're going to be moving up on this track here, you're going to do it with the rest action, which we'll get to in a second. Other ways that you can pay for these is if you tuck a card. So different cards in this game will do different things when you pick them up. So if I get a land card, I will place the land cards from here over to the left for each one that I place down. Some of these will have immediate effects when I grab the card. This one here will let me get another brown card immediately and place it down. This one has the worker placement place that if I can get the camel symbol, I can gain a green card and a brown card. So you can place as many as you want from here, no restriction. You can pick up these blue cards with different actions, and there's no restriction to however many you put on this side. One thing of note though is when you place these blue cards down, some of them have immediate actions, like this one has the little lightning bolt. It will immediately give you these resources. But in addition to this, when you pair these up, if they have the lightning bolt here, you will also get the resource to the left, which is really, really nice. So you want to pair these and take a look at what you can have up there. If you get a townsfolk person, you will slide these guys underneath the card, one of the land cards. And when you slide these under or any of the cards with a brown border, sorry, not just land. And if I slide this one under here, notice that as a picture of a camel, I can use that to be able to place any die here. I want them to have that camel resource already covered and I'm ready to go. So I can place a die there. So those are those. These guys here are the space ones. For the space ones, you're going to have to, you can only place these ones if you have either land or ocean cards underneath it. So those ones do have a restriction. These cards here in general, well, they only count for end game scoring. So we'll go over end game scoring in a little bit, but those only count for end game scoring. These inspiration tiles, which are cards, are very hard to get, but if you do get them, you can place them on here. And if you meet this prerequisite, so I have 4 mountain tags, I will double the reward of the card underneath it. So that's really, really nice. Most of the time when you get those, you're going to be getting them from this track here as you explore it, which we'll go over in a second. So that's your space tiles, that's your land tiles, that's your ocean tiles, and that's your people. And in general, that's what you're going to be doing when you place your dice onto your board. The other thing you can do is place workers. Now, when you place workers, you have all these places around the board you can take. And when you place these workers down here, you don't get anything on the card. Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to what you gain up on top here. So it also has to be a worker that matches one of the colors that's allowed in this. So this one allows a yellow and a green. This one allows a green, and that one allows a yellow, green, or blue. So it doesn't matter which color those are. This one is a green or a blue. And when you place them there, there can't be another one there already of that color. So the 2 restrictions you have. So I could place this yellow one here. So that's part of the cost. And I will pay 3 provisions. And then I can look at the top 3 cards of this deck, pick one, and gain it. Other places do other things, but in gist, that's how you're going to be placing workers. Now, later on when someone gets this card, they will gain the card and everything on it. So they'll gain any workers that are on it and be able to place those in the future, which is really nice. So in a really quick nutshell, that's how you can do worker placement. The last action you can do is rest. And when you rest, you're going to retrieve your dice and re-roll them. And these are the dice numbers that you're going to get to use on your next turn. If you have remaining 0 or 1 dice, you get to do the rest action. And this is going to be the primary way that you're going to be moving along this track. So this one here, so you see the little ink and quill, and I gain a money. This one allows me to move once along this track. Now, in order to move along this track, you have to be able to meet the requirements before you can move. In this first location, there is no requirement. So for my player here, my little blue player here, I can move here or here. If I move into a location, I will get the printed bonus here. In this case, it's going to be 2 provisions. If I'm the first one there, I also get this green worker. And I get to use that in the future. Once it's placed out in there in the future, it is up for anyone to take. So don't forget that it's public after that. Now, additionally, if you move into some of these other places, they're going to require certain things be around. Like if I'm up here and I move across here, this one's going to require that I have 2 green townsfolk already on my tableau before I can move there. And some of these get more complicated, like I have to have a comet tag. Here I have to lose a black influence. So if you ever see these symbols here and it has a slash through it, that means you lose it. If it doesn't have a slash through it, that means you gain it. Other things of note on this board is when I get to those places, I get these really cool purple tiles here. These purple tiles give me end game points for, and they also give me 2 tags. Now, before we continue on with what these other 2 cool places do, I'm going to throw out that what tags are. So tags are going to be these things here that you're going to collect throughout the game. The more of these you collect, the more points you'll get. The more sets of the 4 different tags you get, the more points you'll get, which we'll go over when we do end game scoring here. But know that these tags are important and you will be collecting them throughout the game. They're not only important for end game scoring, but they're also important for moving along this board for a lot of the different areas. Especially some of the space ones that will show up later on. Some of those are going to be requirements for moving to some of the better spots. So like I said here, you'll get the purple tiles. But what's really cool is when you move to this spot here, or this spot here, you're going to pick up your other worker. So if I move to, where did I put my thing? If I move to here, I will get my other worker die and I'll roll it and get to put it in. If I go to the other one, I'll get my 5th and final one. So that's a good way of getting more actions per turn. In addition to that, that's one of the few places that you can get these cool inspiration cards that will help you double up your space cards and get even more points. Now, if for some reason you can't use this card, you can always discard it for the benefit down on the bottom. So really, just to sum up this board here, the really big important thing that you're going to be looking at for this board is going to be to make sure you either have these tags or resources to move forward. So you're going to want to look at this board a lot and do a lot of pre-planning. These boards are also double-sided, so you can flip to the other side to have a little bit more variety in your game. If you want, I just randomly put them out so they're on whatever side they're on. Now, tiles. So I mentioned you can pick up these tiles and you can put them down. Like this one here, if you go to this worker placement space, I'll need a yellow or green. If I place my worker there, which will leave them, it never removes until someone picks up this card. Well, that's not true. There's action spaces on the board and things that you can retrieve a worker from any location you want, but in general, they're left on the card. I can pick one of these yellow tiles. If I pick a tile and I place it on my board, I can't change the orientation that it's supposed to be, so it has to stay upright, but I can flip it. So I can do either side there, and I place it anywhere that I want on here, and from then on, that die will gain me this thing. Like here, I will gain a point. This one here reduces the cost of some of the cards to 1 silver when I use that to gain those things. And if I cover over any symbols that are already on the board, I get that. So since I covered that over, I get a provision. Now, one thing I didn't mention that is very important for gaining these cards across the top, these cards here All the other cards, you just pay whatever it is that you had to pay to get that action to give you the ability to get those. These guys, you will not only pay for whatever you had to do to get that action to get these, but these cards here, you also have to pay the silver cost that's in the upper left-hand corner. These cards, you have to pay the silver cost on the board underneath where they're at. Just wanted to throw that out there because I did forget to mention that. So these tiles here, these black tiles, when you pick them up, I just want to show you these ones are unique. These guys here will have to be placed upright like this. So I'll have to place them like this. You cannot place your tiles so it hangs over the board at all. They have to legally be able to fit somewhere on here to be able to place them. So, and each of these yellow, blue, and black tiles have 3 different type of tiles. These guys all are based on different points, and they all have different tags that you can get in the game for the end game scoring. So that's how all this stuff works. And when I know I'm going over this really fast, this is just to give you an idea how the game plays. So those are the 3 things you can do. You can place a die on a legal spot on your board to get the action. You can place a worker around this board to get one of these worker placement places, or you can retrieve your dice to hopefully get the rest actions to move yourself along this map. The game will end when a player gets all the way to here. I'm sorry, to here, one of these places here. Now, any number of players can be on any of the other spaces, so it can have multiple. But once you get to the end here, only one player can be on each of these spaces. You'll get all the benefits that are on there, and you'll trigger the end of the game. What will happen then is everybody gets one more turn, including the person at the end of the game, and the game will end, and you'll go to end game scoring, which we'll go over right now. So the first thing, and this is on this board itself that I wanted to go over, is you're going to get your points for your tags. So if you're going to go through and look at all 4 of these different tags and see however many you have will cost your whole tableau. All the tags require for this base points here that you have more than or 2 or more. So if I have 2, I'll get 2 points. If I have 3, I get 3 points. If I have 4, I get 5 points. So if I had 4 mountains, I would get 5 points, and so on, up to 7. If you have more than 7, that's it. You're not going to get more points. This is your max 16. The other thing here is for every complete set I have of all 4 tags, I will get 5 points. So you're going to get a lot of points through that. You're also going to get your points for all the different space cards you got. Now they'll have to be some water underneath that so it matches up. So this one here, for every set of all 3 space tags, you'll get 3 points. So that's pretty nice. I could put a inspiration card, if I got one of those, on top of this, and it would double it. So if I have 4 mountain tags, and that means I'll get 6 points for all 3 sets of the space tags. You will also get victory points for any of these tiles that you have on your board here. So that will give me my 5 points. Don't forget that any space tags or any tags that you have on these also count to your end game scoring. So don't forget those when you're counting your tags. And the last thing that you're going to score on this game is going to be your guild majorities. So if you have the majority in any of these guilds here, you will gain 3 points. Couple other things to mention in this game real quick is there's a sun and a moon card. There's only 1 sun and moon card in the game of each. So if you get the sun here, so basically one of the things that's confusing, at least for me, is on these cards where it has this 3/. What this means is by itself this is going to be 3 points, but if I have the sun and the moon, I get 7 points. So there'll be the moon here, and there's only going, oops, that's the wrong one. Moon, that was Mercury, not the moon. No, anyway, there's going to be a moon here somewhere. If I have both, I'll get 7 points. Like this one here, I'll get 1 point for every space tile that I put on my player board. Well, 1 plus a point for every space tile that I got on there. This one here, I'm going to get 2 points. Or if I have the most comments, I'm going to get 4 points for this tile. So this one here is very important to make sure you have a lot of comment tags, because every single one of these could be worth 4 points at the end of the game. Otherwise, they're going to be with what they posted on here, and they're not always 2. There's some, like here's the 1 and such. So that's a thing to keep in mind. Here, I'm going to get a point for each of these tags on here. And again, like I said, if you get some of these inspiration tiles out, you will be able to, and you meet the prerequisite on the left here, you'll be able to double the reward on any of the space tiles. So that's really cool. So, in a really quick gist, that is how you play Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on the game. Okay, before I give you my recommendation on this game, the first thing I need to throw out is that your first game is going to be a learning game. There's no way around that. You have to learn how to move along that map. It's not intuitive. It's something, well, it becomes intuitive, but it's something that's not intuitive on your first play. Iconography is rough, so you're going to need that first play to learn the iconography, and once you do, it's pretty straightforward. It's just different enough that it's not, you know, there's going to be a learning curve. That's basically what it is. There's a learning curve to this game that requires a first play. If you're okay with that, then you're going to want to continue on, and maybe this is going to be a game that you're going to want to play. What this game does is this game gives you a ton of cool strategy and rewards knowing how the game works. So it rewards multiple plays. So this game can be an extremely rewarding game once you learn how that map works and be able to still move along that map and explore there's so many different other scoring opportunities in this game, so other different ways of building, it's not quite an engine, but building an engine for your tableau. It's a really fun growing that out, getting different abilities that you can use, making those rest actions amazing. Is a lot of fun having rest action and being like, woo, there we go, get to do a ton of stuff. And all I'm doing is retrieving my dice and re-rolling them. Getting those ink icons and moving along that space is really important, and spending your influence at the Black Temple there to move another spot on that track is really important to plan that out and make it work. The better you do with that, the faster you're going to move along the track, and the more efficient your action was for the rest action. So that's really important to think about. So there's a lot of planning, like I said, in looking at that map and seeing what you need to do and what path you want to take to get to that end. And there's just so many points you can get along that track, so many things that are bonuses on there that you pretty much need to complete it or be pretty far along it. Getting that extra worker die is amazing. Getting both of them is phenomenal. Getting those purple scoring tiles is really cool, but it also gives you a tag, which is really important because that can fulfill a lot of things, including moving along that map track. Just a lot of things to think about and a lot of strategy. So with that said, you know what you're getting into. You saw the overview, and you know, like, basically a gist of what your turns will be like and how the game basically will play through. So moving on to component quality. Component quality in this game is amazing. Like any of the lines, it's really, really good. I really want to get the metal coins for the coins on there, but that's just something additional to bling it out because I think it's going to just add more to the game, and I just like metal coins. But overall, the quality in this game is great. I love it. It has a good insert too. It's not the type of insert where you can stand it upright, so you're gonna have to lay it down, but it has a place to put everything, and it definitely has a lot of places to put additional expansions, and the cards fit in that insert sleeve too, with a lot of additional room. So that probably means they're looking for lots of expansions, and they'll fit all in this base game, which I really, really like. So one other thing I want to throw out too, so components are great, is if you play the of the lines like Raiders of the North Sea, Paladins of the West Kingdom, and you like those, this is not the same game. There's a lot of differences in this game. I love Raiders of the North Sea. I think it's one of the greatest worker placement games there is. I really love placing down a worker, retrieving a worker, doing that really cool thing where I only have one worker the entire game. This game's not like this. You have worker placement in the game, but you're not guaranteed to get those workers back. You have to either purchase the card that the worker's on to get the workers back, or other people's workers that they've placed out to you, or you have to move along that track, or you have to do one of those actions that you retrieve a worker from the board. Most of the guaranteed actions that you're going to have in the game is going to be through the two other actions, which is going to be dice placement and the rest action. The dice placement, so again, completely different than other series. You're going to have these dice that you're going to be able to place and do your actions with. So another cool element with that. And the rest action itself isn't just simply bringing them back. And that's been in, I think, Paladins of the West King. You have stuff where in the other games where if you bring those workers back, you get cool stuff. This one here, if you bring back your dice and you wait until you only have 1 or 0, you can get some really cool stuff, and you get the all-important moving up the track. So there's so many different things with those 3 different actions that you can do. And there's a lot of different strategies. It feels very open-ended in what you can do in this game, and I love that. There's a lot of different scoring opportunities and a lot of different ways to score in this game. I think that I haven't played this enough, but I believe that I could probably win the game without completing the track on the top. I'm 99% positive that that is a viable strategy. I haven't actually completed that strategy, but I'm pretty sure you can get so many scoring opportunities that you can just blow that person away that just focused on that track on the top. So a lot of different strategies you can have in the game, a lot of different mechanisms that are in this game. If that interests you, I highly recommend checking out this game. And that's my thoughts on Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Thank you for watching.